Well, let's dive into it here. Let's talk about IT governance. We're really diving into how ERM works, right? Think about ERM and COSO, but now in the IT world. So I'm going to show you the structure chart again, the org chart, how that's all built out. Remember, it might have been a while for you since you've seen it. And we've got goals when it comes to IT governance, just like corporate governance. And our primary goal here, what is it? Well, it's to align IT practices with the organization's overall objectives. Now, it sounds pretty solid, right? The overall objectives are to make money, have no fraud, sell a lot of products. Yeah, you probably want to have the IT practices align with that. This also includes balancing risk versus return when it comes to IT processes. This is quite similar to corporate governance from our first lesson. Shocker, it's not as if I just said that. It's almost as if I know what's going to be said before I say it. Uh, this focuses on vision, mission, and strategy. That is going to be what is most important here for our IT governance. Now, what does it require? It requires timely data availability. Well, you can't make decisions or do anything if you don't have data appropriately timed. Key metrics, a balance of risk versus return, and responsibly constructed and sustainable controls. What are our 5 focus areas of IT governance? Value delivery, strategic alignment, performance management, resource management, and risk management. Is this crazy? Do you need to memorize this? If you've got extra time, sure, but nothing too out of the ordinary here. Just a nice little area to cover. Here is our corporate structure. I do want to bring your attention, right? We've got the important ones, the board of directors, we've got the CEO, right? So the CEO reports to the board of directors. Board of directors has committees on there. Now, we've discussed the audit committee in the SOX 2002 lesson. We have, a few others which we don't really cover in BEC. However, we do see that we have a corporate governance committee, and under that we have our cyber governance committee. So corporate governance, this is think COSO and ERM, and then under them is the cyber governance committee. You see how this fits into the broader picture. Of course, the shareholder is at the top. The owners are the VIPs. That is our corporate structure. We're seeing it again. This will probably be the last time, unless you're going back and looking at other lessons. We're kind of wrapping up here, but all good here. Just be familiar with this. Nothing too crazy. The personnel that you should know, because these could be multiple choice questions, or actually they'll just probably be multiple choice questions. I couldn't see in my experience how they would turn this into anything else. So what do we got? We have our board of directors. Let's remember this was covered in ERM. It's important. These are fiduciaries, meaning they need to have the company's best interest at heart. They oversee and appoint executive positions. The board evaluates IT governance policies for the organization. You've also got executive management. These are the C-suite, CEO, CFO, CTO. Now we see this again later, but we'll go over that again. These are responsible for the shocker tone at the top. That should ring some bells. And for execution of IT governance policies. All right, these will be multiple choice questions. What are they responsible for? Middle management. These are branch or regional store department managers, so they're in charge of varying levels. The middle management, they're not the C-suite, but they're also not bottom of the totem pole, which act as an extension of executive management. So they just the CEO can't be everywhere at once. So middle management is the middle representative between the CEO and the different branches or regions, stores, departments, whatever it may be. What about network admins or engineers? Well, here's where we're getting into more specific IT related positions. If you work in a company or a role, or you're familiar with this, then great, that'll definitely help you. For them, you need to know that they design and maintain the network. That's what they do, including configuring network hardware such as remote access. So these are the people who, when a pandemic might happen and everyone's working from home, these are the people in charge of making sure that you can work remote. So make sure you thank your local network admin or engineer so that you have a more flexible life, working from home and all that good stuff. Now, executive level IT staff, these are the C-suite, but more so the chief technology officer, information officer, or IT director responsible for daily IT governance execution. That's what they do. They are there to be the overarching umbrella, make sure that IT is properly followed through and follows in line with what the corporate mission and strategy is. What about help desk and lower level IT staff? Well, these are the frontline soldiers that you are going to send requests. SOS, I can't log into my account, right? They're the ones who are going to help us really when we do need it. So make sure you thank a help desk or a normal IT staff individual. Troubleshooters, right? They are making sure that things are working. They respond to issues that you as the accountant may have or you as the employee may have. General cybersecurity staff, these individuals ensure security of the company network and IT related assets. That is what they do. Nothing crazy there. Lastly, function specific staff. These work on one specific role, such as database management, and have a narrow focus. Right? It's function specific. So maybe you work on database management, you work on cybersecurity, you work on physical hardware, whatever it might be. That is a function specific staff member. All right, now we have other personnel. Make sure you get familiar with these because they could be good old multiple choice questions as well. Now, if you want to know what an accountant is, I would suggest going to look in the mirror. But if you're a vampire, I guess nothing will appear there. But anyway, if you want to know what an accountant is in terms of what the test wants you to know, these individuals are responsible for confidential data, such as banking and financial records, processed through IT governance. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The data librarian, well, a librarian has custody of all the books, right? And in this case, it's data. So this is the person who should maintain the custody of an entity's data in a large firm. And we'll talk more about data at varying points throughout IT. I mean, all three IT lessons, just like econ, all three of those go hand in hand with each other. I'd say all three of these go hand in hand. It's just one big mush of IT, all solid. And they'll maintain custody in a data warehouse, right, in a server, wherever that is. And we'll talk more about that. What about your software developer or programmer? Well, these individuals design or write programs to collect, process, store, transform, basically do anything with data and information that are entered by the end users. So these developers have a larger scope, whereas programmers specifically write the code. Developers are going to say, hey, we're going to build out this whole website, right? Whereas the programmer might have the function of building out the one page on the website, or that other page on the website. That's how developers and programmers work together. What about a systems analyst? Well, these systems analysts design systems, prepare specific specifications for programmers, and these are the intermediaries between users and programmers. So that's their key kicker here, is that they are the intermediary between users and programmers. End users, well, these are the individuals who are best equipped to understand the day-to-day practices and practical uses of organizational technological needs, as the end users are the ones utilizing the technology. And an end user is you logging in to use Amazon.com, or you as the accountant using your database management software, or you as just anyone, whether business or personal, just logging into your bank account online. Those are end users. Anyone who is the end user of whatever is built out, usually a website, or system or anything like that. What about external stakeholders? Who are these? These are individuals outside the organization that have an interest in the organization, such as customers, right? If your favorite clothing brand went out of business, you'd be a little upset. Vendors, well, they make their money from that company, so they would be pretty upset as well. Shareholders obviously have a pretty solid stake in the company. Auditors, well, in addition to that's how they make their money by auditing these companies, that their job is to essentially audit them and make sure that these companies are reporting properly. They have a vested interest, external stakeholders, regulators, and more. Just all of these are examples of external stakeholders. The project development team, this is a team responsible for ground level functions such as designing IT infrastructure, planning, tracking, and monitoring project performance. So, lower level of personnel than the steering committee. We'll see the steering committee in a second. These teams are formed for new IT projects as they arise. So, you can think the steering committee is the overall overseer, it's kind of like the developer, and these are the more programmers. So this is the head honcho, the boss. Overall, we want to make our cybersecurity more intact. So they are going to dispatch a development team to, maybe build out the physical controls. They'll make a project development team to shore up everyone's passwords, right? They'll make another project development team to what are some, I don't know anything about security. I just post my passwords online. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You just go on your Facebook and you write all the passwords. It's a good place to store your passwords. But yeah, so that's what project development teams would be doing, the more specific ground level tasks. Whereas the steering committee, think of it, they steer the ship. They're responsible for overseeing information systems functions. They have a more holistic and big picture view than the project development team. They're able to review and approve long-term plans. You can think of this as a principal and a president. I'm not sure if any of you, had principals and presidents at your schools anywhere, whether it's high school, college, but generally the principal deals with the day-to-day of the students, and the president of the university or school, the president is the one with the more long-term focus, dealing with that. Strategic goals, monitoring process, addressing concerns, yada yada. That is a good amount of our IT governance personnel. Let's keep moving along. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.